Welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this video. Time to dive into the book.
Hello, this is Jessica with On a Stack of Books, and today's video is a tag video, and this is the 8 book memories tag. This was created by Paul at the Accidental Bookseller, and my friend Nikki at My Messy Bookshelf tagged me. This tag is the prompt. It's one prompt for 8 books. What are 8 books that you see on your shelf or that you remember reading where that site evokes powerful memories regarding moments in your life or key experiences? Similar to when you hear a song and it transports you in memory to a key moment or period in your life. What 8 books do the same for you and why? It's carte blanche on how much information someone wishes to impart or not. It's the opportunity to give subscribers a little more detail on how lives connect to books via experience. Also, it gives listeners to our book memories more information about us when we were no longer here to tell them. So I really enjoyed watching Nikki's video, and just, I think we all have these books, so I definitely wanted to do this. And so the first one that I thought of is this Helen Keller book, and I have had this since I was a small child. On the back there, it's barely there anymore, it's the Braille. But I remember reading this, and I was an early reader, and I was probably 6 or 7 or 8, I don't know. I was very young, and I remember, it's a chapter book, but it's Helen Keller's life, and I loved this book, and I reread this book, and I don't know why it fascinated me, because I definitely had lots of picture books, and I loved children's illustrations, but I was fascinated with her story, and I knew that she was a real girl, and it was just fascinating to me. And then later on in life, much later on in life, I did in college, I did get my interpreting degree for sign language, and I didn't work as an interpreter. I taught sign language to hearing children, and then I became I had my own classroom and taught, and it was just part of the curriculum for hearing children, for spatial awareness, and learning another language. So it's just, I have very, very fond memories of reading this book, and I still have it. It's the same one that I had as a child. My name is written in it, and yes, it's old. It's gently used. So Helen Keller was the first one, and these are really not in any particular order, but I was pulling out books, and it's funny because the ones that I've had as a child and kept, those are very special, but then I got other books as I was an adult and I was teaching, and then kept with my children, and some of them are surprising. But this one is called Ducky, and I got this when I was teaching, and read it, and the kids loved it, I loved it, but it is a true story, and it was in 1992. A crate traveling from Hong Kong headed for Tacoma, Washington, had a very large crate, hundreds, thousands of these bathtub toys. There was ducks, yellow ducks, blue beavers, green frogs, and red, or was it red beavers? Blue turtles and red beavers. And so it crashed into the ocean, and they all started to float, and it's Ducky's perspective of his experience floating through the water, but it became a science experiment with tides and where all of these toys washed up and who found them. And a lot of them were washing up in Alaska. And so it was just this really interesting accidental science experiment, but it's a great little story. And when I was pulling the books out, my daughter, she saw it and she was like, Ducky, and we read it last night because it's just very good memories. And there's little phrases that, you know, every once in a while will come up and we'll quote them because they're just funny. And so this one, so of course the shark grabs a bunch, but then he spits it out, and you know, he says, I expect we are not too tasty, though we are guaranteed non-toxic. And that little phrase has come up in conversation several times with me and my daughter. So Ducky is on the list. And then along the same lines, this is a book of poems. This is a child's calendar, and the poems are by John Updike, but the illustrations are beautiful. And I equally love the poems and the illustrations, but so every month I would read in my classroom, and then with my children, we would do the poems. But the illustrations became such a big part of it. So, you know, January, and there's just so much detail. There's so much happening in the pictures. And it's a family. And I've come across this book a couple of times in my Lori book hauls, and I'm always like, oh, it's such a good book. Mine's falling apart a little bit. I have it taped up, but I just love it. And we looked at this one again last night and went through the pictures, and there's just a lot of really good memories associated, and the poems are beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to jump ahead. My oldest daughter has always been a very voracious reader, and at a very young age. And so very quickly, she went from me reading with her to her reading on her own and enjoying that. And my younger daughter prefers that we read together. So she really enjoys it if we're doing it together. So we've read lots of books, but when we read James and the Giant Peach, she really loved this book. And this was probably one of the first ones that she on her own reread several times and would read. And so we've read this book so many times, and it is, you know, fantasy, adventure, imagination, friends, but there's a dark beginning to this book. And so I also did a video, I did a bead project to go with this because she loved it so much. And so I have really good memories of this because I read it as a child, but then because she enjoyed it so much, it became more special to me. So this one. And then along the same lines, Harry Potter was such a wonderful reading experience for me. So back when these were coming out, and I don't remember the time frame, but you know, we read the first one or two, and then as they were being published, you know, and you go and pre-order and pick up your book and you blow through it. And there was a summer that I read several of them, and every afternoon we would have thunderstorms and rain showers, and it was just the perfect backdrop to reading these books. And I just really, really enjoyed. And so I couldn't wait for my children to, you know, get old enough and want to read them. And so my oldest daughter read them, and as she would finish a book, we would watch the corresponding movie. And I'm not a big rereader, but I did reread the first one with my youngest daughter, and I forgot how much happens in each chapter, how much happens just in this first book, and how good they are, and how much I enjoy reading them. And so it makes it more special when you can share it with someone and sharing it with them and talking about it and, reading them and then watching the movies. And so this is just a wonderful series, and I've enjoyed it so much, and I was just happy that my kids enjoyed it. So definitely Harry Potter. And then I'm gonna sort of cheat because this next one is more of an author. Judy Blume. Now, when I was a young girl, I read a lot of, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which my oldest daughter read. Ziggy's House. I can't even remember all the Judy Blume that I read. But I got these when my oldest daughter was interested in her books, and again, the other titles are escaping me, but there is a lot. And so she read all of these, and then because my youngest daughter and I read them together, at that point they were still sharing a room, and so my oldest daughter was listening along as we were reading, and so you could enjoy them again, and they're just fun. But anything I find that I can share with my children, that I can reread, and we can have those experiences over and over again, becomes very special to me. So even though these weren't specifically the ones that I read as a child, I have fond memories reading them with them. And then my absolute favorite childhood book series was the Berenstain Bears. And these are just two that I happen to grab right here. But we have all of them, and more than this. We have all of them. And they're just darling little stories, the family and the bears. And I just grew up absolutely loving Berenstain Bears. My kids love Berenstain Bears. We read them a million times. I mean, and we still will look at them. We'll still pick them up. I find them in little free libraries. I make paper crafts with them because they're just so sweet, and it's so nostalgic for us, and we all love them so much. So all of these. So again, I'm kind of cheating. These are just the two that I grabbed, but all of them. And then the last book is somewhere here in my house, and I have been looking and looking and looking and looking, and I cannot find it, and it's driving me crazy because it is here somewhere. But it is a book that I had as a child, and then again, we read it, and my kids absolutely loved it, and we've read it so many times, but it's Buddy Bear's Bad Day. And Buddy Bear is a little bear, and he finds matches, and he accidentally starts a fire in his room. And he ends up saving his little sister and getting them all out of the house. But it is just, and it's, they're just like little books. But I remember reading that as a kid and read it with my kids, and they loved it. And I did find this one, which is sort of, it's the same size, same weekly reader books. And so when I was little, before school started, before I was in school, because I do remember in school getting the Scholastic book orders and just loving them and getting so excited of, getting books and posters and pencils and whatever my parents would let me get. But, all the books, the weekly reader books, I have a lot of them. So my parents were getting, and I was ordering, and so I kind of went down the rabbit hole of looking online, and it's like 80s kids books, children's books, and oh my gosh, the pictures and the memories and everything. But there was so many of these weekly reader books, so I must have, I'm assuming, gotten them every week, because they're you would read it in a sitting or a week. But I have just wonderful, nostalgic, good, cozy memories of my books, sharing them with my children, reading with my parents, and just all of that good reading book vibes. So I have a lot of other books that I love, but I was able to sort of cheat it a little bit, narrow down to those. I love children's books. I love the illustrations. I really wanted to pull some Shel Silverstein or Dr. Seuss, or, because there's just countless. But yeah, so I was happy to do this tag. It was a little bit challenging to narrow it down, but I love the nostalgia. I love the cute pictures, the coziness, and the familiar memory of when I read it and then sharing it with my children. So yeah, so I will tag some people and try to see who hasn't done this. But thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll be reading.